All right, it is 2 p.m. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining our webcast today. Um, I'm very excited to be introducing some folks from Dell Rapid Recovery who are joining us for this webinar today on having zero impact recovery, recovering anything to anywhere. My name is James Milliron. I'm the marketing director for Advanticom. I'm just want to extend our thanks to you for being our customers for such a long period of time. And I hope that you find this webcast today to be very informative and interesting. We have a few folks on the call today from Dell that are going to be walking us through not only a handful of slides for a quick overview of this solution, but also we'll be jumping into a live demonstration so that we can really see the effectiveness of Dell Rapid Recovery in action. So I'd like to welcome Matthew Raymond, who is the technical account manager for Dell Rapid Recovery, and Edward Binion, who is the pre-sales engineer. And these two will be taking us through the presentation today. And if anybody has any questions at any point, you can use the chat box, which is in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. And I will be monitoring those throughout the presentation. So Matt, if we have something that's a timely question that's relating to something happening right here, right now, I'm just going to go ahead and jump in and present that question to you. Otherwise, general questions, we will just leave it until the end of the webcast. So again, thank you very much, everybody, for attending. Really looking forward to this, and I hope you enjoy the presentation and especially the demo. So Matt, thank you.
All right, thanks, James. So my name is Matthew Raymond. I'm the technical account manager. I support a plethora of software solutions here at Dell, but my primary focus is data protection and disaster recovery. Accompanying me on the phone today to assist in the live demo will be Edward Binion. Edward Binion's a pre-sales engineer, and he's been here here at Dell probably as long as I have. So as we get towards the end, I will hand the baton off to Ed, and Ed will go ahead and show you the interface and show you that all these concepts that we're presenting to you today are realistic, and they are and how easy they can be done. Okay, so once again, thank you for your time. We have the zero impact recovery piece of this, anything to anywhere, is the theme here. I mean, obviously the solution does a lot more than just anything to anywhere, but obviously that is a very important feature when it comes to a heterogeneous environment or virtual physical types of environments. So so we're gonna step right ahead here. Thank you. So I want to go ahead and take the time here to discuss disaster recovery as a whole, because I think the disaster recovery piece is really it really emphasizes the value in this solution. So for years now, disaster recovery has been the primary conversation here at Dell, and with any data protection solution for that matter. So there are a lot of facets to DR, whether it be on-site, off-site replication. There's cloud initiatives. There's and then there's RTO and RPO. So if you understand those variables, you'll understand that that is the risk to your business. You have an RPO, which is how often do I back up, and an RTO is how quickly can I restore the data. So if you take those two variables dictate the risk to your business. That's what we call the data loss variable. So everything in data protection, it can be, symbolic of a stopwatch. So, it's the closer you get to near zero, the less of a risk it is to your business, and the less of an impact it is to your business. Okay. So if you look at our a stopwatch here, you'll see that rapid recovery for both applications, physical and virtual, falls toward the lower end of the stopwatch. So we'll get into the specifics of those, the RPO and the RTO, as we get going along. But there are always questions that you need to ask yourself when you're presenting a DR plan, and these are some of the variables. Okay, but what if you could recover whole systems, your apps and their data, even terabytes of data, in less than 15 minutes, right? That'd be great. You want to ensure zero impact to your users and zero impact to your business, even during restores. Having that data available before it has fully completed its restore would be epic. How about all the data that you do back up, whether it be physical or virtual? How about if you ensure that that data is good, whether it's in the cloud or whether it's locally. What if you could connect to any leading cloud? So now you have the ability to shop around and lower your cost of ownership, right? Whether you do a private cloud or you do a public cloud. Okay. How about if you need to protect growing virtual environments, right? And as they grow, we automatically recognize another VM in the mix, and we just add it into the backup without you needing to configure it, right? How about if we just go ahead and match your data protection needs, whether you need an agent list or an agent. So when you look at DR, there's mission critical systems, there's business critical, and there's non-critical, right? So non-critical systems may not need an agent-based solution. You could just back them up less frequently without an agent, right? You don't need that application consistency. You just need that, systems, OS consistency or crash consistency for that matter. So just some things just trying to get you to think a little bit about the DR process and how complicated it can be if you're not picking the right solution, right? So here's some other questions that we need to propose. How about if you could manage and configure your data protection process in just a few clicks? So really, what we're saying is user friendly, and I think Ed's going to go ahead and take a hold of that at the end of this presentation and show you how easy, all these, this physical to virtual and virtual to physical, this anything to anywhere type thing, how easy it really is. Okay, it's a point and click solution. Okay, and obviously the lower cost. We support virtual and physical. Okay, there's no reason to shop for advanced capabilities. Granular recovery of Exchange and SQL is included. Okay, so let's get into some of the nuts and bolts of the actual solution. Okay, so zero impact recovery, we talked about that, and that really talks about, RPO and RTO, right? So we have a technology called Rapid Snap. So we snapshot the blocks. We can do intervals of up to 5 minutes on the snaps, and during the restore process, we use a feature called Live Recovery. And what Live Recovery does is there's an ability there for us to so say for instance you're restoring a terabyte information store. We make that information store available immediately through our Live Recovery feature, and basically it's a virtual driver that manages the traffic, and it gives you the ability to have access to that data during the restore process. Okay. Virtual standby. The virtual standby gives you the ability to take a physical machine and convert it into a virtual instance for whether you're recovering in the cloud or whether you're recovering locally in your own VMware environment or Hyper-V environment. Okay. So when we talk about anything, we talk about physical to virtual, virtual to physical, virtual to virtual, and physical to physical. And now when we talk about those conversions, when we could talk about VMware to Hyper-V, we could talk about Hyper-V to Windows 2012. We could talk about Windows 2008 to a VM, to a VMware machine, VM bootable image. So when we talk about anything, we can go anywhere. We can convert the data into anything that you want it to be from a recovery perspective, and then we can also use our cloud connectors, and we can go ahead and put the repository up in the cloud. Or what we can do is we can replicate that data to another instance of our rapid recovery core and give you the ability to do the physical, all those conversions that we talked about. We also can do bare metal recovery on file level recovery from the cloud. So what that means is if you decide to archive an instance of your repository into a cloud instance, instead of pulling down the entire archive, we have now, in the newest version of Rapid Recovery, we give you the ability to go ahead and search an index. By searching that index, you pick a single instance of a file, you choose it, and you pull it back. So really, you know, it's more efficient use of the bandwidth, as well as, you know, just getting what you need as quick as you need it. Okay. So Rapid Recovery, again, provides zero impact recovery. We can do up to 5-minute snapshots and near zero live recovery, which means, again, you have instant access to that data, right? So again, we support physical, virtual, and any instance of the cloud, whether it's, you know, whether it's Amazon Web Services, or whether it's S3, it's Rackspace. You know, if we can authenticate to it, then we can work with it. Okay. Here are some of the pillars of Rapid Recovery that really make our product stand out amongst the rest. Live recovery, we talked a little, you know, surface on that. It gives you the ability, instant access to data during the restore. Virtual standby gives you the ability to create hot standby. So basically, if I run my backups on my physical server every 5 minutes, I'm going to have a bootable image of a bootable virtual image ready to boot up at the same interval. So every 5 minutes, I'm getting those updates from my backup into my virtual standby image. Universal recovery is the whole P to V, V to P, you know, that cross-pollination of recovery. Okay. Verified recovery is really what we're doing is we're going in and we're running, in my opinion, and to put it in a real layman's terms, is we're running checksums against you know, Exchange, SQL, data points, and basically what we're doing is we're just making sure that the zeros and ones add up as though they were backed up that way, right? So if we can read them, then they're good. And again, with the new cloud connectors that we've been developing, we're getting more traction in lowering the total cost of ownership for you and giving you options. Right? Cloud's the new word. So we want to stay with industry and marketing trends. How can zero impact work for you? So when you're talking about with agents, you know, we have the live recovery piece, and we have virtual standby, right? So with the agents, we can get to the volume level. So, you know, without the agents, we snap the volumes, but we snap them from the outside from the VM itself. But the intervals can be the same. It just depends on the resources that you attribute to the solution. So you're talking about networking, you're talking about storage, you're talking about server. So, and we have an appliance as well. This is what we're talking about today is a software only solution, but Dell also provides you with an all-in-one inclusive solution. It's called our disk library. It has rapid recovery on it, and it includes server storage and software. And that's maybe something that we can talk about as well. And I think that's really been one of our hot tomatoes right now. And again, recovery assured thanks to proven and trusted verified recovery capability. So really, we're running those checksums periodically. Okay, I mentioned a little bit about how live recovery works. Really, at the end of the day, from a technical perspective, there's a virtual driver that's installed on each one of the agents, and what it gives the ability to do is that virtual driver, or that, call it a virtual traffic cop. It basically, you know, it manages the relationship from the request from the end user, and it also manages the traffic from the restore. So if data's not already been restored, what it does is it reprioritizes the restore, and it puts those requested data blocks ahead of the rest of the restore. So there may be, you know, slight latency. If it's an appliance, probably none. But you can see where the value is in that, because legacy solutions, you needed to wait until it would hold the files exclusively until the restore had been completed. And obviously, sitting and waiting and watching water boil is never fun, especially when it's an impact to your business. So we like to give you access to that data far before the actual thing has completed. Okay, here's the functional diagram. It's a little busy. but really what it wants to show you is the flow of data, right? And how it presents the data to the backup server and to the into the Aperture core, the rapid recovery core, I should say. So here we talk about the virtual standby. Virtual standby is a warm virtual standby, but when we talk about warm virtual standby, I mean, we're talking 5 minutes warm. I say it's better than warm. Okay, so really it's virtual replicas of your machines that are running critical applications. So really what a lot of people do is people will go ahead and take their mission critical systems, whether it be Exchange, SQL, you know, the core of their business and where their data sits, you know, that would cripple their business. A lot of our customers create these virtual standbys for those machines. That way, they have instant failover into a warm backup, a warm bootable image. Okay. The cloud connector, do not want to neglect to mention all the facets of the cloud connector. So the cloud connector has the ability to archive and replicate. So when you're creating your disaster recovery plan, typically you have an on-site presence. You know, in a perfect world, right? Let's talk about perfect worlds or best practices. In a perfect world or best practices, you want to have a local copy for instantaneous recovery. Then you want to have a DR site, so that would be replication. And then if you want long-term storage, then you archive. You would archive off to some, you know, web service. Or if there's not budget then maybe you don't have a DR plan outside because of the redundancy within the environment, and you just archive the data off directly from the local instance. So there's a multitude of ways that you can work this. The one good thing about the replication piece is that you can have disparate retention. So you could keep 3 months of retentions locally, and then off-site you could keep 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, whatever you want, or vice versa. It's whatever you deem to be part of your DR plan. Okay, so. We have an easy-to-use bare metal restore process and a file level restore process from the cloud. So you can do bare metal recovery from the cloud. You can do file level recovery from the cloud. Okay. We support replication to the cloud or replication to your cloud, whether it be a public or a private cloud. Okay. So the nice thing about replication above and beyond archiving is archiving moves the data as a whole. It is efficient in the process, but replication, of course, is more efficient because, you know, rapid recovery is a full system backup and then a forever incremental. So you can see that if you're deduplicating and compressing a 5-minute incremental, that 5-minute incremental is going to be very small. That being said, it's an efficient use of your bandwidth. So if you're a small business or even a mid-sized business with limited bandwidth to your cloud provider or to your private cloud, then you can see that incremental, that 5-minute incremental, the change rate could be, you know, nominal. So you're not only are you moving smaller pieces of data that are not straining your WAN link, but you're also protecting your data at a higher frequency. It's a win-win. So we have universal recovery and granular recovery, anything to anywhere. This is kind of recapping what we've already talked about. So universal recovery is the P2V to V2P and you know, all anything you can imagine from a physical to a virtual or a virtual to a physical aspect of things or backwards. But we also include granular recovery, okay? So we support Windows and Linux applications, but we have the ability to restore you know, VMware, Hyper-V, Oracle VirtualBox, VMs, files or folders. So we can restore, you know, single files. We can restore single objects. We can restore, you know, single messages to a PSP. We can restore the entire information store. We can actually pull out individual fields within SQL through queries, through integrated queries. Okay. The verified recovery is you know, these are the pillars of this solution. You know, the verified recovery gives us the ability to run those checksums that we talked about earlier. So we do nightly mountability checks of Exchange and SQL, and then we also run checksums against Exchange as well. And we also give you an option to do checksums against, data drives, user shares. So good stuff. That way, when you go to do your restore, you know that that data is going to be good. Okay. So the Rapid Snap for Virtual, this is a fairly new thing to us. We used our vRanger technology. It's a proven virtual enterprise solution that we support here, and currently we support VMware, and we're working on the Hyper-V piece. So we have the agentless Rapid Snap on the VMs is what it amounts to. So you can see that the API is integrated into the back of the Rapid Recovery server, and what we do is we interface with VMware, and we use APIs to call on the agentless piece, and we just snap the VMs. Real simple. Okay. So Rapid Snap for applications requires an agent, and then within that agent, we basically do application consistency checks, and we do application consistent snaps. Okay. But if you're on the virtual side, we do change block tracking, and we do automatic discovery of the VMs. We support the vMotion stuff, and we also support the virtual standby of that Rapid Snap for Virtual as well. Okay. So in the newest release, each release that comes out, we're always listening to our customers, and we're always refining and improving on the interface. We feel like features and functionalities are great, but we want it to be simple for you to use. It may be complex behind the curtain, but we want to make it easy for you to use. So and I'll hand this off to Ed in a minute after we field some questions. But Ed will go ahead and show you how easy it is to use, and he'll show you some of the anywhere to anything to anywhere type of theme here, so you guys can get a better feel for things. But if you look at the interface as he goes through it, you're going to see how smooth it is, and we're constantly improving that process as well. So I wanted to keep it within a half an hour, and I'm pretty close here, so we got probably another 8 minutes, or we can hand off to Ed sooner. But does anyone have any questions about the solution? And feel free. I mean, I love the questions. So anything you guys have, just fire away. I can't be that smart and that good. There's no way. Okay. Well, if anyone has any questions as Ed goes through the solution as well, we can go ahead and we can go ahead and stop through Ed's process, or we can stop at the end of Ed's process and recap what you guys have seen. Or better yet, I want to make this available to you as well. I've shown you a lot of things today, and what I'd like to extend, and I'm sure Ed would definitely agree with this, is I would like to, if there's something you guys would like to see done, speak up, and Ed can go ahead and do the heavy lifting and the mouse clicks for you guys and show you how easy it is. So, James, if you want to hand it off over to Ed, I think Ed can take it from here and show these fine people how the solution works from an interface perspective.
All right. It's just been handed over to Ed. Let me know when you have control, Ed.
All right. Let's see. Screen 2. Let's see here. Which is best? And let me know if you can see my screen, folks.
This is James. I can see it. Looks good.
Okay. All right. So we can see the console. You can see my mouse moving around in the upper left-hand area of the screen.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. My name is Ed Binion, folks. Thank you very much for joining us today. Just like Matthew had mentioned, we've been with this product for well, pretty much its inception. It's grown a lot over the years, matured, And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you, we'll go over the console, and then we'll look into some of these the report features that we have, to help you guys out, make your jobs easier when it comes to recovering from disaster, or even less than that, just maybe a single instance of data loss. So what we have here is this is our web GUI. Obviously, if it's a web GUI, pretty much we can log into this from anywhere. Okay, so that makes it very easy to manage your backup environment, and also to answer those 3 a.m. phone calls needing to restore. You can just roll right out of bed, hop onto your laptop, if you will, and you can remote right in to your Rapid Recovery Core and institute a restore. It could be something major, like a whole Exchange server is down, or it could be something minor, as just a few files need to be restored. So this view right here that we're looking at here, this is new to us. This is our dashboard view. It's just a very quick way to gather some information, key information about what's taking place in your backup environment. If you can hover over it, you can get you'll be able to get more detailed information if you click on these things. These individual panes, we call them widgets. They can be moved around, placed anywhere you want to. So, for instance, this pane right here says job transfers in the last 24 hours. We see that we had 87 successful. There was one failure. If we wanted to, we could drill down into that, find out why that failed. And we have machine connectivity. We have all 9 systems that we're protecting right now. They're all online, which is good. And it tells us the protected data that we have as well. And we have a screen here that says repository. This tells us what our repository looks like as far as compression, deduplication numbers, which are important to us when it comes to storage savings. Gives us total number of recovery points, number of machines again. If we look over here, then we have a transfer job per machine. And this gives you just a look at each individual machine. It tells you how many transfers for that machine occurred within that 24-hour period. Up here in the upper right hand, if I click on this, expands this window out here. We're going to be adding additional widgets with additional pieces, again, just to give you more flexibility. Again, just to be able to click on one screen and see what you want to find right away. That's what this is all about here. And then we also have our standard table view, and we can get to that just by clicking the link over here in the upper right-hand corner. And this gives us pretty much the same information. The difference is, obviously, it's not as visually appealing, if you will. On the left-hand side over here, this is the list of servers that we have under protection. You'll notice the icons here are a little different, right? So these look like straight-up monitors, and then these are, kind of overlaid boxes, if you will. These right here indicate that we have agentless protection occurring in our vCenter setup that we have. Up above here, this indicates that we have our smart agent software installed in each machine. And let me so what we'll do real quick is I'm going to take a look. I want to show you the piece for the virtual our host level backups. I'm going to show you how you get there. But first, what I want to show you is across the top here we have these quick launch buttons. These are things that customers have said, we need a quicker way to get some of this stuff. We don't have to keep drilling down to page after page. So some things you're going to do the most of will be protect machine, do restores, set up archiving, and manage your replication. Okay. So if I click the drop down here for protection, you can see how we protect machines. We protect clusters, so we're cluster aware. So if you have a SQL cluster, a file system cluster, even a Microsoft Exchange DAG, for instance, we're able to protect those in a cluster manner. If we wanted to deploy the Smart Agent software, we can do that. So you don't have to go onto each machine and install the code. over here for restores. So if I drop down for restores, we can restore entire machines. We can do a mount of what we call a recovery point, and I'll get into that more detail here shortly. We can do the virtual export. That right there is essentially taking a backup image, whether it be physical or virtual, don't care. And we can either go to Hyper-V, we can go to VMware, we can go to VMware Workstation, and Oracle VirtualBox. Okay, those are 4 virtual platforms that we can work with, and we simply create the full disk to run on those platforms from the backup images that we capture. And archiving, if I go over here to archiving, so I can create an archive, I can import an archive. So what is an archive, real quick? An archive is simply, it's the deduped, compressed backup image data for a number of servers that have long-term retention of. And usually what you're going to do is you're going to write those to be lower performing disks. So there's going to be static there. Now, we also have a new feature here is we're able to attach archives. So it used to be that you'd have to import an archive to get any data out of that archive. So if there was data from a year ago that you wanted to, that you might need to do a restore of, you would have to then import that whole archive into a repository that's being managed by this Rapid Recovery Core. So the problem with that is there's going to be some latency. There's going to be some time loss. It's going to take time, depending on how big that archive file is, to ingest, into that repository before you can use it. So we've figured out a way. I shouldn't say we, but our developers have figured out a way to attach an archive file and be able to drill down through that archive file to do a restore, a granular level restore, or even a bare metal restore. So since maybe you have this archive in the cloud, okay, it's in Amazon, AWS, for instance. What you can do is you can actually mount that archive, attach it, and you could actually do a bare metal restore from that archive. So that would be going to some dissimilar or similar hardware, and we have the ability. It's built into this software, by the way, to create our disk, our boot disk, and that's right here, our boot CD. So here it is, right here. So I have one that's created right here. So it creates a boot ISO. If I wanted to create one, simply click create. And this is how we would recover a physical server that has gone down. And there's a couple of ways, so maybe it is a recovery, but maybe, just maybe, you're retiring old hardware. And we certainly have people out there in the field who do this. They simply want to move the image, the backup image, to newer hardware that they're going to, because they're going to retire this older hardware. That's one thing that you can do here. So this will walk you through the steps to creating this boot ISO. Then you can put on a thumb drive if if you have USB. You could use that, or you could just put it on to a CD and burn that image on, and then you're simply just going to pop that into the machine that you wish to do that bare metal restore. Let me cancel out there, and then last on these hot buttons up here, we have replication. So this could be to a third party, hosted. Maybe it's someone like Advanticom, for instance. They're in a situation where they're hosting your your replication. So you're getting not only you're getting your backups done, but then you're getting these backups off site. Okay, so you have multiple copies just in case some worst scenarios happen to happen. Okay, or you can manage it on your own as well. And I already have an existing target here, for instance, right here. So if I wanted to add additional machines to the list of servers that are being replicated, I would simply just follow this. And notice it's a wizard, right? So any quality software, it's gonna take you by the hand. It's gonna walk you through the things you need to do to get your environment set up and to accomplish certain tasks, or any task really that you're trying to get to. So let's see here. So I'll pop over here, back to home. So real quick, so this right here, this is the home view. This is what I call the core view. This gives information about everything. I can go into events. If I click on events, it's going to give me events for everything, for all the systems here. But if I wanted to get particular, say about my Exchange server, I can click on it, and it's going to give you additional information. Okay, that only pertain to this Exchange server. Okay, up at the top here, I have a summary. I have my recovery points, events, settings, reports. If I want to generate reports just on that one server, there's some additional information here as well. What I'll point your eyes to here is where it says volumes. This is important to us because what we're going to talk about here is kind of what's happening here. So we're doing we're leveraging Microsoft VSS to get our snapshots. So we get our base snapshots, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to track changes across at the block level across all the volumes that are being backed up. Okay. Notice this is an Exchange server. We are we are aware that this Rapid Recovery is aware this is an Exchange server, that it has databases and logs that need to be treated differently than your other flat file data that you have. Okay, and one thing you'll notice right away is that what I have here is E and F. Right, I get this little file cabinet icon here. Volumes are grouped. They're grouped because they're dependent volumes. They cannot. You cannot restore a server successfully unless these two volumes right here are being snapped at the same time. So that's crucial. So these volumes here, we protect the user, from maybe possibly making a mistake of snapping them at different times by grouping them, just like you see here. Okay. If I scroll down this page a little bit further, I can find out a little bit more information about this Exchange server. I can find out the install path, the data path. Then down here, I can see my individual, my database names, as you can see here, where they're located, the EDBs. Pardon me. So if I go to recovery points, okay, that's the next thing. So I just looked at the summary. Everything's good. Go to recovery points. One thing that I see here is that, I see a list of, a lot of information here. So the contents, that would be the volumes, right? So we got our system reserve volume, we got our CE, FTP that are being backed up, our space usage. This right here is telling me how much free space, how much space is being used, and what the total space is on a given backup. Okay. File system type. These are all incrementals, so these are just the deltas. Okay, it tells me when the creation last snap for, so this one is at 2 o'clock here, and it tells me the size. So that right there is an indication of how much change has occurred. Now, what's really great about this solution is that inline it does deduplication and it does compression and it writes to disk. That's all inline. Okay. So even though it did 327 odd megs of data, that's not really, that doesn't mean that we wrote that much data. It just means that that's how much data was transferred from the backup machines to the Rapid Recovery Core. And then when it gets to the front door, then it's going to go through the dedupe algorithm, and some of those blocks aren't going to be written, because we already have those blocks, and so we're going to dedupe that out, and it gets, it'll get assigned to hash table, and you get pointers for this particular server. So let's see here. So if I page over, you'll notice when we look at type down here, it's on the far right, not far right. You can see where it says base. So that's the initial. That's the initial snapshot for this server. So that's when we first snapped this server. And what that is it did 148.83. Now, gigabytes. Now, if there wasn't a machine, if that was the only machine that was under protection here, then you can be rest assured that that's how much it would be actually written to disk. It would be all unique data within that repository. But then as we start adding additional machines, maybe we have common operating system files. Those are all going to be deduped out. Okay. Right. So, now, another thing to take note of is these green dots. Okay, they're not red, they're not yellow. If they're red, we might have a problem. Okay, so every time we do a backup with Exchange, for instance, what we're doing is we're going to do a mountability check to make sure that our logs, that everything's consistent within that snapshot, that system state. So when you see green, you should feel warm and fuzzy, because that means whatever happens, if I need to recover from that point in time, I know my data, my backup data is golden. It's good. Okay, good to go. And as you can see up here, I have 40 that have passed, none that failed, and no checks required. If I were to just pop over here to my SQL, because we do a similar process with SQL. Again, I'll just real quick show you how we, again, we're grouping these volumes here because we have databases and logs. If I scroll down further, I can see right here, this will show me all my databases. You can see them, okay? These are all the databases that we identified that are being backed up, okay? They're all online. That's what that green indicates, those green dots. If I go over here to recovery points, you will see yellow here, but you'll see green. So what this means is, so what we're doing here is we're doing an attachability test of the backup. And how we do that is we use SQL, a default instance of SQL to attach the databases that we've just backed up to make sure that they're in a consistent frame. This is green because we do this only at night, unless you need to. That doesn't mean you can't do it during the day. You can't. So I would be able to actually come over here to the far right, click log, and I can force an attachment check now because maybe I need to do restore now. So that'll go ahead and run that process, and it's going to give me either that green or that red at the end. And we always want green. We get green, then we know we're good to go as far as restore goes. So let's take a look at some restore options. So I'm going to bounce over to, so this is Exchange server. I'm on my Exchange server. I'm using a tool called the local mount utility. This comes with the software. And all it does is it allows me to look at just the recovery point chain and to only do granular restores, okay? But it's really nice because I can put this on my Exchange servers, which are local. I can put it on my SQL, my production SQL servers, so in case I need to mount databases that are in backup and do restores, in that manner. I can do that locally because that's the database has to be seen as being local to that instance to attach it via SQL Management Studio. And what I've done here is I've actually gone in here, gone through the process of restoring a set of emails, created a PST file. I'm just going to hit finish here, and I'll show you that the PST file is right here. Where is it here? It's right here. This is what I've restored. And just to kind of recap how that worked was I opened this application here. Let me blow that up here. So I opened that up. I selected a point in time. I right-clicked, and I clicked Open Database for Recovery. Okay. And then what that does then is it opens our, this is our mail restore program. And what it does is, and this is all within that one step there. These are all the inboxes here, okay? It's Star Wars theme here, folks. So I apologize for any Star Trek fans out there. But so what I've done here is I selected Yoda, for instance. I selected his inbox. Here are the three emails that I just created a PST for. If I wanted to, say, select a couple other ones, I'd simply just go through, select them like so. I could right-click at that point, or I could just come up here and click Restore. And here's the methods that I can use. So it could go to a recovery folder at the user's inbox. It could go directly back into their inbox, or we could just create a PST, which is the easiest method for us to use, for us to see. So what I would do here is just simply choose a location, which I'm just going to throw it on this desktop for demonstration purposes, and we'll just let me see here. Got to put a name here so we know what it is. I just reverse that. Okay, and click Save. Everything looks good there, and I'm going to click Next, and we're going to go ahead and start, and we're going to let that run. So that's gonna, and that's done. That's it. Click Finish, and should be able to go to my desktop, and there it is. Okay, so that's the PST file there. So again, you can put that on, on the user's desktop, really anywhere in your network location. Now let's see here. Let's see. Do I want to do that? Let's say something a little more, I don't know, a little more crazy happens. We'll give this a go. So, we have this feature called Live Recovery. It allows us to restore entire volumes of data in real time while users are still able to work. So, and I think, yeah, so I got this G volume. I think what I'll do is I'll just come in here to this G volume, and I'll just format it. And okay, good. We'll format this volume. So this will make it so that, well, any of the data that's on there, we can't use it. And what do you do, right? So, I mean, there's a couple things you could do at that point, right? You could just, go back. If you're using tape, it's going to be a little more drawn out process. You kick off a normal restore. Depending on how much data is there, it's going to take a lot, right? And users won't have access to it, right, while it's being rebuilt. So if I come in here and I go to restore, so again, this is a hot, I need a hot button here for this, right? Because I got people breathing down my neck, So I'm just going to click restore there. Let me see, it's my Exchange server, right? So we'll highlight that. We'll click next, and then we'll choose, well, I want the latest. I need to have the latest and greatest, the latest incremental the latest snapshot. I want that. Yes, I want to go to the same machine. I could put that on another machine. I could, so yeah, I mean, this gives you that option. As you see right here, while we're here, if I wanted to do a bare metal, then this is also where you would start that process as well. I'll click next. All right, and I know which one I want to restore. It's G. I want to restore that. I don't want to restore these. Do not. So I just want to restore G. Let's show advanced options. So if I show advanced options, we have our trademark Live Recovery is already selected for us. The force dismount is already selected for us. Now, it's important to point out that maybe this is, it's not really, it's not a high priority, so I don't need to use the Live Recovery because no one accesses this data, very rarely, so it's no big deal. I can just, run a regular recovery and just let it run. But if I do that, you won't have access to it. But we're gonna use the Live Recovery in this instance. So we'll click next. Okay, please call through. Okay, cool. All right, great. So, all right, so let's finished. And starting restore for us. Okay, and we get the little pop-ups down here for, that let us know that everything started for us. If I wanted to, I could go into events, and I could, so that should start up here, and I'll be able to track that. Global events. Okay. All right, let's let that run. And while that's running, so if I go to, so we talked about the archive. Let me just show the archive here. So if I go back to restore, so this right here, this indicates here that this is archive. So this file, this right here is from an archive. So I could click next on that, and if I wanted to do restore from here, I could do restore from here as well. And here we go. Right. So I could pick a point in time here, go through there, and then this is where I could choose to do a bare metal if I wanted to. Maybe I already have the boot CD, and then simply fill in this information here, click next, and move on to that process. Let's see. Okay, so let's see. So replication. Okay, yeah. So that's another thing I wanted to get into was. So let me click real quick. We'll click on. This is our virtual environment. Okay, so this is the vCenter here. So again, if I wanted to do, say we wanted to do VM export, so I go to VM export. And I have one, I can do one time, or so maybe it's a machine that, just, I don't know, it's physical, out. Now I got to move it over to a virtual environment, right? So I could do that. If I wanted to do continuous, so if I was looking at mission critical systems, what I can do is I can simply create these virtual continuous standbys. And basically what that's going to do is after I get a backup image done, it's going to create the VM, do the export for us. And then every time I do, every time a incremental is taken, we're going to update the snapshot VMDK files if it's VMware, Hyper-V, your VHD, VHDX files, and so on and so forth, with the latest system state. So so it could be every 5 minutes, because we can snap up to every 5 minutes, which is like 288, I think, snapshots a day. So you're talking about minimal data loss in between those snapshots, where if you needed to, you would have that VM set up, for emergency purposes where you could power it on. So if I wanted to set up virtual export, say if this is just a one-time, but I would select the server that I wanted to set that up for, select a point in time, click next. So this is where I would choose, am I Hyper-V, am I VMware, am I VirtualBox? So I go ahead and select that, and then I would put in my host address, and where's my, there we go. And then we need to put in our credentials. Okay, and hopefully I got all that right. Click next, so it can connect. So this is going to connect to vCenter here for us. That's what was done here. So now I got to choose my resource. Okay, so here's my center, there's my data center, and here are my 2 ESXi hosts. So I'll choose this resource pool 108, and then I can adjust all these different settings here as well. I can if I wanted a different VMX version, I can do that as well. Thin or thick, provisioning, RAM. I can whatever kind of RAM I want to apply there, I can do that. And then when I click next, okay. And once I do that, then I can select yes, this hard disk I want to do. Finish. And while that's running, let me pop over here. Look, check it out. So I reformatted G, right? And if I go in here now, G's there and all my folders are here. Let's see here. I get some drivers in here. Nothing in there. Let's find some data in here. Let's see. I'm be sure what's in here. Oh, let's see here. Let's just take that out and let's put that right there. And there it is. So what we're looking at here, we're looking at metadata representation. That's what this is. And this is all coming from the repository. So when a user logs into this machine, and they don't even know that, this volume is being restored. They don't know. All they do is, go into whatever data they were working with a few minutes ago, and they just go about their business. And when they request the data, like I just did there, it's restored instantaneously. And this is all while it's being restored. Okay. And let me go back here. Okay, all right, let's see if source, okay, hopefully I have enough space here, so let's see. It's a very, very small machine, so I'm hoping we do. But what that would be is I have to go over here, and I have to go to my vCenter, and if this has, so I have a machine here, this ID, this is a sent box right here. That's actually a virtual standby that pretty. So I went to virtual standby here. That machine is right here in the top list here. Okay. It was in there. Something I'll probably look at here later when it did its last export. Probably something I did, or it could be something environmental. But that's it right there. And if I wanted to add additional virtual standby servers, I simply just click add and just go through that procedure, select, machines, and that's all you do there. Here. Yes, we got about 4 minutes left, so at that point I'm gonna go ahead and kind of end. And if you guys, I don't know if you want to open up the phones, James, or how you want to do this, or what, field some questions here. That would be good.
Sure, definitely. Thank you, Ed, for the presentation. Do we have any questions out there? If there are any, okay.
But I'll just throw this out there while we're waiting here. Is it this right here is a replication server that we have set up. So all these machines have been replicated from IDP backup 1 to IDP backup 2, which I just want to point that out.
Okay, well, I don't see any questions coming in. I'm gonna give you guys another 30-40 seconds to submit a question if you have some, and in the process, I'll go ahead and wrap up the call here. So basically, I hope that this was beneficial for everybody involved today to see especially the demonstration, to see the back end of rapid recovery and exactly how that works. We've been partnered with Dell on this for quite some time, and all the folks here at Advanticom would be happy to arrange a more personalized demonstration with Matt and with Ed, showing exactly the types of recovery that we can implement for your company. Hopefully this got the wheels turning a little bit, and I'm interested to know for those of you that have joined us today, what exactly it was that prompted you to join a webcast on data recovery. So those are some questions that we can take offline. And again, if anybody has any last minute questions before we finish the call, now's the time to put them into the question box. We're about a minute away from the hour. So I think probably half the people here will be running into the next meeting, but I want to thank you for your time, and especially big thanks to Matt. big thanks to Ed for presenting the content today. Matt, if anybody wants to reach out to you directly, how would they do that?
Yeah, they can go ahead and they can reach out to me directly. I can pull Ed in. I can pull, Advanticom in, and we can have a more product specific conversation around, pain points in their environment, licensing costs, what are they doing today and what can they do better? And we can have a generalized conversation, whether this is something, James, that they want to purchase today or in the next year. We can go ahead and provide them with the information they need to educate themselves and, open up bigger discussions so they can present to whomever they need to present to. But I wouldn't mind getting everyone on the phone individually and really, discussing their overall DR plan and how we can make it better. But I have my contact information. If you want to pass it over, I'm more than fine with that.
Sure, absolutely. And from the email invitation that has gone out, if anybody would like to reach out to Advanticom about this, feel free to just open that email, hit reply, and drop in any additional questions that you have, and we'll be in contact about the same thing. So I look forward to connecting to all of you again in the future, and we will definitely be in touch by phone shortly after. And thanks again for everybody attending. Hope this was beneficial for you, and have a great day.